Well, hi. Welcome to the fifth part of the Marxian lecture on family, gender relations, and reproduction. And we have just started to see how family in mainstream economics and Marxian economics in the core part of these schools studies is studied, and we have seen in the mainstream school basically family was an agent that is sending out, let's say, resources to the market and basically taking out the commodities from the market, and what they do with those resources inside of the family is not considered. We just may think about the main motivation that these resources are given to this family, and which is done pretty in an abstract way. I mean, it says these commodities are given utility, something between happiness and usefulness to the family, to the members of the family, which is taken almost like a single agent. In Marxian school, actually, it is kind of similar, although now we just mentioned, in order to survive, this family has a certain minimum level of commodities should be taken by this family. Otherwise, this family might not survive, basically, and that's called the reproduction. In order to reproduce its labor power and labor power in full sense, and we have seen this also means raising a child to replace yourself, you need to get certain amount of resources from the market. But how these resources are related to the work done in the family, and then, I mean, do we have some minimum amount of work necessary to do inside of the family? Those things are not studied at the core, very core, let's say, studies of Marxian economics. Both schools have some side studies which are actually covering the family. But if you are reading Capital, and if you are reading the microeconomics or macroeconomics textbooks, basically, you don't see those core studies, so they are not considered as important as other aspects of the schools in that sense. But well, still, both schools have some, let's say, significant members. In Marxian school, no one less than Engels, the second guy, most important economist in the school, who wrote on family, basically. And we will see, basically. I mean, this is an introduction to Marxian economics course, but basically I wanted to include this part of the introduction. But you might not see in other, if you take introduction to Marxian economics course from someone else, maybe you are less likely to see family segment and gender relation segment in the course. But anyway, mainstream school, actually, the main guy who worked on this was Becker. Becker is an interesting person. He actually has wrote a lot on the in general side topics like discrimination and the family in economics, also the crime and economics, basically. He basically tries to apply the mainstream tools to the other sides of social sciences to some extent, and also try to connect the economics and other aspects of the society. In case of family, actually, he used a very famous model in economics called Ricardian trait model, which we'll see in detail. But let's study the model in the family context, the way Becker has studied, actually. So our starting point would be, let's do it. We have two agents, Becker says. One is woman, one is man. And both are producing household goods and, let's say, household goods and market goods. Let me write, actually, let's say household goods are called HH, market goods are called M. Well, they are not actually producing market goods, that they rather work in the market, and in return they get a wage, and that wage can be used for market goods, to buy market goods. Household goods are bought inside of the produced inside of the household, and they are not available in the market, so you need to produce them inside of the house. We assume women are more, let's say, experienced in producing household goods, maybe because of their, well, in case of Becker, who wrote it in 20th century, second half of 20th century, and so she argued maybe because of their biological advantages, or maybe because the culture dictates them to do so. But it's irrelevant in this case. This means women are able to produce more household goods. So when they produce just household goods, let's say they produce 100 units of household goods, and of course 0 units of, they won't be able to get any market goods, so they will get 0 units of market goods. But let's say when they go to the market and basically just work in the market, then of course they will get 0 units of household goods, and let's say they got 20 units of market goods. The reverse thing is true for the man. If he just produces the household goods, then he will get, let's say, 20 units of household goods, because he doesn't have advantage in doing that. But he is more advantage in going outside and work. That's why he will able to get more market goods. So basically, if he works in the market, he will get 100 units of market goods, but 0 units of household goods. And this, at least the last part, is at the time when Becker wrote this, and to some extent, even today, to some extent, this is true. Is he might show his case by showing that on average male wages are higher than the female wages in the market. So if this is case 1, if this is case 2, when they are remaining alone, they might basically they might rather have the case 3, which means they need to spend some time to produce household goods and some time to produce market goods. But when they share, for example, when they spend their time, split their time on one-to-one basis, well, half and half basis, in that case, well, each will get 10 units of one of the goods and well, 50 units of the other. And you can play with the numbers. This could be different. I mean, for example, woman might instead, well, for example, let's say also we have a case 3 where women spent most of their time for market work. Well, still, of course, in this case, they will get higher household goods, but kind of the numbers become more even. Similar thing can be done also by men, since, well, you can never get over 20 in case of market goods, so it's really difficult to get it exactly even to even. But if the man wants to even the market goods and household goods, in that case, he should work less in the market and more inside of the household. But let's make it do that. By the way, this is 10 household and 50 market, and this is 15 household and 25 market. This is more or less even. But and this is case 4. But instead of doing any of this, basically, man and woman might get married. In that case, marriage, let's say, together they might produce basically, well, man can choose this option, woman can choose this option and man can get this option. So woman might produce 100 units of household goods, and man can produce 100 units of market goods, and then they can share this equally, and in return both might get 50 units of household goods and 50 units of market goods, which is better than case 3, which is better than case 4. I mean, any case you might say. Actually, you never get, if you get one of them 50, the other one will be not close to 50. So basically, this is according to Becker the logic of marriage. Why it is logic of marriage? Because basically it gives, in the case of marriage, both men and women can specialize on what they are best. Women stay at the household, men work in the market, and they can share what they produce evenly with each other. Well, feminist economists criticizes this model a lot, mainly stating that actually um, marriage has some other advantages, like risk pooling, for example. If one of them gets sick, the other one can continue to gather income, or public goods, the goods that can be bought and enjoyed together, for example. In addition to that, well, this model, according to them, makes women and men focus on, let's say, one type of, work, while, well, if, for example, man dies, in that case, women won't be able to, won't get any experience in, let's say, working in the market. So working in the market increases potential wage of the woman. So actually, investing in the market work might be beneficial for the woman to begin with, and especially in time when the children grow up, and children are the main household work in that sense. The woman might be especially in disadvantage because the necessary work in the household might be not that high. But one interesting aspect of this is also there are different type of household work. So actually, some of them might be done by the woman, some of them might be done by the man, and you might even think that actually, since there are different types of household work, different people might be advantages in doing different type of household work. So this necessity to do more household work, especially in early times, as we have seen in the history, might encourage large families where everyone is basically advantages in doing one type of work and one type of work. While when increasing the household products begin to be offered by the market, the necessity to gather these big families will decrease basically. Now you can buy all things from the market. So this need to do large families in that case will basically disappear. I mean, you can have smaller families. So actually, in a way, this type of framework just shows that the people who come together doesn't need to be man and woman. Actually, they don't need to be two people also. You can have more people who are coming together. Anyway, this is the mainstream framework. Well, now we will go to the Marxian framework, where we will see separate things, separate works. But as a beginning phase, I can say Engels, as I said, was had one of the main works on this on Marxian framework on family, and he famously says that in the family, man act like a capitalist and woman is acting like a worker. So man is actually taking it from the Becker's framework, bringing the necessary non-labor inputs to the house, and woman is working, doing the work, and basically producing the products. And then man is taking part of the product from the production. So this is an interesting analysis, and in the very basic thing, it is true, and it is actually opening the path. And Engels' analysis actually doesn't focus on this further. He mentions it, and he then make the analysis mentioning different aspects, and we will see Engels' analysis also at the end of this lecture. However, many feminist economists have gone further on this analysis. I mean, can we apply the Marxian production, let's say, model to the family also? How far is it possible? How far it is not possible? And if we can apply, can we say also the relation is similar? Is man in the family like a capitalist? Is woman in the family like a worker? Do we have that kind of a family? Especially in the capitalist system. So that's the next question we will see, and we will see if that's the case also, and basically how far that model can be applied to the family, and how the relations in the family can be defined, and how that relation is actually, let's say, influencing the further economic relations, basically. So we will see all of these in the next part of this course. See you then.